in in that process last week, which was to do a meet and greet. And that's a moment where everybody involved here around the table tells everybody else who he or she is and what they do. And I thought it particularly interesting because we are a group of professional theater makers. None of us works as a professional actor. And I thought it would be interesting for you audience to know what amazing other lives in the theater that these people have other than being actors, and to be as stunned as I am by knowing that when you watch what they're able to do as actors. It is true that if a number of them have had some training as actors and have worked as actors, but I thought it'd be good to just go around and for you to meet everybody before we dive in. So I'm going to try to do that. I know everybody's Zoom configuration is a little bit different, so I'm going to just use mine and call out the names of everybody and have them say a little bit of something about themselves. And then when I finish, we're going to throw it to Sara to get us started on a plot summary. So, all right, I'm going to start up in my corner with Hannah Walker up there. Hannah, tell us.
Hello, hi everybody. My name is Hannah Walker. I'm the Institutional Marketing Manager at River. I've worked here for about 2.5 years, and I have zero acting training of any kind, but I'm a long theater fan.
Thank you, Hannah. I don't know if everybody else has the experience of Hannah's internet that I do. It gets a little bit broken up. Okay, so I'm just going to recap for you, Hannah. That's Hannah. She is our institutional marketing manager. She's fabulous. I got to know Hannah actually first because she was a theater critic at Tri-City News and wrote some beautiful things about some of the theater that she has seen. And she has been with us, I missed that number, but I'm going to guess 5 years. Is that right? No. 2. Oh my God. Well, 2 very rich years. Okay, so there's Hannah. Now, next up on mine is Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie Benson. I studied theater in college and started a career as a stage manager, then started my own theater company. Then I fell in love with event design. And then I started working at Two River Theater as the special events manager. And I've been with Two River Theater for 7 years, so full circle. And I'll be stage managing tonight. So back really full circle again.
Great. Thank you, Katie. Next on mine is Christian, who's playing Benvolio. Christian.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christian Dilks. I'm the staff carpenter at Two River. Been for the past 4 seasons, including this one, which has been truncated, unfortunately, but here we are. And after training-wise, I went to school for theater at Montclair State for 4 years, so acting, a little bit of everything.
Great. Thank you, Christian. Next up, Kate Cordaro.
Hello. So I'm Kate Cordaro. I was an actor in a past life. And now I've been the director of education at Two River since 2004.
Great. And Cam Bush.
Hi everyone, I'm Camila Bush, and I am the artistic assistant at Two River, and this is my first season, man. No acting training, not an actor.
All right, Mitch.
Hi, I'm Mich Davis. I am the props assistant at Two River. This is my first season, and I have not had any formal actor training other than one mandated class in college.
Great. Yurik, you're up next.
Yeah, hi, my name is Yurik Lozano. I have 0 acting experience, like professionally anyway, other than playing Puck in high school in A Midsummer Night's Dream, so that was cool. And I'm Two Rivers multimedia manager.
Great. Abbey.
Hi, I'm Abby Smith. I've been a lighting and sound assistant for 2 years now at Two River. And I actually did both performance and theater design in school. So, yeah.
Great. Duane?
Hi, I'm Duane Noch, the master carpenter at Two River since 2005, full-time, and I worked there before that, jobbing in now and then. And I went to Rutgers and got an MFA in acting way back in 1996.
Great. Thanks, Duane. Denyse?
Hi, Mom. Rosemary, you're out there. Hi. I'm Denyse Reed. I'm the Director of Development here at Two River. I've been here for about 1.5 years, and I do have some acting experience. I went to Montclair State too. I got my BFA back in 2000, and I got my MFA in directing at the Actors Studio. Now I'm doing development, and I just want to thank all of you for being here.
All right, Dan Montano.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Montano, and I am the sound supervisor here at Two River. Been kicking around since 2005 as well. And I do have a little bit of acting experience way back in the day. I actually played Romeo many, many years ago. I was a young man at the Theater Barn in Lincroft, at Thompson Park. So welcome, everybody.
Fabulous. For a very hefty price, for anybody out there in the audience, I might be convinced to send around a video from maybe in the late 80s of a Budweiser commercial starring Dan that we pass around whenever we need a little lightness of heart and a good laugh. So just so you know, it's there. It's really good. Okay, Sarah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah. I'm not on the staff of Two River, but I'm a freelance director who has been around there and is delighted to be a part of the family there. I've done a Little Shakespeare's Macbeth and Comedy of Errors productions as a director, and the 12th Night that happened this last January and February on the main stage. As an actor, I decided I wanted to direct in college, but I still really love acting. I just don't really do it a lot. If someone wanted me to be in a Shakespeare show, I would be fearful and I would do it. Oh, right, I was in Twelfth Night too, I forgot that. Right, I was also in Twelfth Night, which was not on purpose and not a character that I was born to play, but that happened. And I guess the most serious acting training I've had is that I went to RADA's Acting Shakespeare program when I was in college. So yeah, still love being a part of Shakespeare in any way, shape, or form.
Great. All right, and lastly, Taylor.
Hi, y'all. I am Taylor Barfield. I'm the literary manager at Two River. I've been here for 2 years now, full 2 years. I have 2 weeks formal acting training, during which I fell off of a volcano, so I stopped doing that. And now I act on occasion.
Great. All right. Well, here we go. Thank you all for being here. We're going to get started, but I just wanted to fulfill my promise and have you hear from Sara Holdren with just the quickest recap of what happened in Act 1 and set up the folks that we're going to see here in Act 2. So, Sara.
Cool. Here we go. So, Act 1. A prologue introduced us to our location of Verona and to 2 feuding families called the Capulets and the Montagues. We then meet some of the followers of both of those families out in the streets of Verona, where they can't help but break into a big, nasty brawl. At the end of that brawl that's broken up by the prince named Aeschylus, we meet Romeo, who is the lovesick son of the Montague family. He's head over heels for some chick named Rosaline that we never meet. Then, in a few scenes later, we meet Lord Capulet and Lady Capulet and their young daughter, Juliet. She is basically 13 and a half, but her mom is real keen for her to get married and is setting her up with an eligible, rich young guy named Paris. Meanwhile, Lord Capulet is planning a big party and Romeo and his buddy Benvolio and their friend Mercutio, who's a crazy dude who loves a long speech and a juicy simile, decide to put on masks and crash the party, to which they are obviously not invited. Well, Mercutio's invited, but Benvolio and Romeo are definitely not invited. So at the party, cue fireworks and rainbows. Romeo and Juliet see each other, they meet, they fall in love, they recite a sonnet together in their first words ever spoken to each other. And that's that. At the very end of the act, we have Juliet asking her beloved nurse, who is that guy that I just saw? And when she finds out that it's the son of her great enemy, she's left in a sort of state of simultaneous love-struckness and panic. And there we are.
That's fantastic. Thank you. All right, Sarah, thank you. We're going to head backstage. I'm going to be the voice of stage directions. You'll hear me back there. And we're going to try to make this virtual theater thing work by folks popping in when they're on stage and popping back off when they're off. So, all right, I'm going to go away and say, Act 2, enter the chorus.
Now old desire doth in his deathbed lie, and young affection gapes to be his heir. That fair for which love groaned for and would die, with tender Juliet matched is now not fair. Now Romeo is beloved and loves again, alike bewitched by the charm of looks, but to his foe supposed he must complain, and she still loves sweet bait from fearful hooks. Being held a foe, he may not have access to breathe such vows as lovers use to swear, and she, as much in love, her means much less to meet her new beloved anywhere. But passion lends them power, time means to meet, tempering extremities with extreme sweet.
Chorus exits, and scene 1, enter Romeo alone.
Can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find thy center out.
Romeo withdraws, and enter Benvolio with Mercutio.
Romeo, my cousin Romeo, Romeo.
He is wise, and on my life hath stolen him home to bed.
He ran this way and left this orchard wall. Oh, good Mercutio.
Nay, I'll conjure too. Romeo! Humors! Madman! Passion! Lover! Appear thou in the likeness of a sigh. Speak but one rhyme, and I am satisfied. Cry but I me. Pronounce but love and dove. Speak to my gossip Venus one fair word, one nickname for her purblind son and heir, young Abraham Cupid, he that shot so trim when King Cophetua loved the beggar maid. He heareth not, he stirreth not, he moveth not. The ape is dead, and I must conjure him. I conjure thee by Rosaline's bright eyes, by her high forehead and her scarlet lip, by her fine foot, her straight leg, and quivering thigh, and the demesnes that there adjacent lie, that in thy likeness thou appear to us.
And if he hear thee, thou wilt anger him.
This cannot anger him. 'Twould anger him to raise a spirit in his mistress' circle of some strange nature, letting it there stand till she laid it and conjured it down. That were some spite. My invocation is fair and honest. In his mistress' name I conjure only but to raise up him.
Come, he hath hid himself among these trees, to be consorted with the humorous night. Blind is his love, and best befits the dark.
If love be blind, love cannot hit the mark. Now will he sit under a medlar tree and wish his mistress were that kind of fruit as maids call medlars when they laugh alone. Oh, Romeo, that she were. Oh, that she were an open arse, and thou a popperin pear. Romeo, good night. I'll to my truckle bed. This field bed is too cold for me to sleep. Come, shall we go?
Then, for 'tis in vain to seek him here that means not be found.
They exit. Scene 2, Romeo comes forward.
He jests at scars that never felt a wound.
Enter Juliet from above.
But What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there and they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylights doth a lamp. Her eye in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. Oh, see how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Ay me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze upon him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It is not hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou, that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of thy tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love.
By whose direction found thou out this place?
I love that first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke. But farewell, compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearst, thou mayst prove false. At lovers' perjuries, they say Jove laughs. Oh, gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkst I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay, so thou wilt woo. But else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore mayst thou think my behavior light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to seem strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overheardst ere I was ware my true love passion. Therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I vow, that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops.
No, I'll swear not by the moon. Then constant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all. Or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
My heart's dear love.
Well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too sudden, too unadvised, too like the lightning, which doth cease to be ere one can say, it lightens. Sweet, good night. This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, good night. As sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of love, of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank and give it thee again. And yet, I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite.
Madam!
I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little. I will come again.
Oh, blessed, blessed night, I am afeard. Being in night, all this is but a dream. Too flattering, sweet to be substantial.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
Madam!
I come anon, but if thou meanst not well, I do beseech thee.
Madam!
By and by I come to cease thy strife and leave me to my grief.
So thrive
Tomorrow
my
I will
soul.
send
So thrive my soul.
1,000 times. Good night.
1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes toward love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love toward school with heavy looks.
Hist, Romeo, hist. Oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo.
It is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears.
Romeo.
My dear.
What o'clock? tomorrow shall I send to thee.
By the hour of 9.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 year till then. I have forgot why I did call thee back.
Let me stand here till thou remember it.
I shall forget to have thee still stand there, remembering how I love thy company.
And I'll stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this.
'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no farther than a wanton's bird that lets it hop a little from his hand like a poor prisoner in his twisted jibes, and with a silken thread plucks it back again, so loving jealous of his liberty.
I would I were thy bird.
Oh, sweet, so would I. But I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night. Good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow.
Sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were asleep in peace so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly friar's close cell. He's help to crave and my dear hap to tell.
He exits scene 3. Enter Friar Lawrence alone with a basket.
Gray-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light. And flecked darkness like a drunkard reels from forth day's path and Titan's fiery wheels. Now ere the sun advance his burning eye, the day to cheer, a night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. The earth, that's nature's mother, is her tomb. What is her burying grave? That is her womb, and from her womb, children of divers kind, we sucking on her natural bosom find many from many virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. Oh, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in plants, herbs, stones in their true qualities. For naught so vile that on earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but stained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometime by action dignified.
Romeo enters.
Within the infant rind of this weak flower, poison hath residence and medicine power. For this, being smelt with that part, cheers each part. Being tasted, stays all senses with the heart. To such opposed kings encamp them still in man as well as herbs, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant.
Good morrow, Father.
Benedicte, what early tongue so sweet saluteth me? Young son, it argues a distempered head so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed. Care keeps his watch in every old man's eye, and where care lodges, sleep will never lie. But where unbruised youth with unstuffed brain doth couch his limbs, there golden sleep doth reign. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused with some distemperature. Or if not so, then here I hit it right. Our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight.
That last is true. The sweeter rest was mine.
God pardon sin. Wast thou with Rosaline?
With Rosaline, my ghostly father? No, I have forgot that name, and that name's woe.
That's my good son. Where hast thou been then?
I'll tell thee ere thou ask it me again. I have been feasting with mine enemy, where on a sudden one hath wounded me that's by me wounded. By both our remedies within thy help and holy physic lies. I bear no hatred, blessed man, for lo, my intercession likewise steads my foe.
But be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. Riddling confession finds but riddling shrift.
Then plainly know my heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet, As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine, and all combined, save what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed and made exchange of vow, I'll tell thee as we pass. But this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today.
Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here. Is Rosalind, that thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Hey, Su Maria, what a deal of brine hath washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosalind. How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love, that of it did not taste. The sun not yet thy sighs from heaven clears, thy old groans yet ringing in mine ancient ears. Lo, here, upon thy cheek, the stain doth sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. If e'er thou wast thyself, and these woes thine, thou and these woes were all for Rosalind. And art thou changed? Pronounce this sentence, then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men.
Thou chidest me oft for loving Rosalind.
For doting, not for loving, pupil mine.
And badest me bury love.
Not in a grave, to lay one in and another out to have.
I pray thee, chide me not. Her I love now, doth grace for grace, and love for love allow. The other did not so.
Oh, she knew well. Thy love did read by rote, that could not spell. But come, young waverer, come go with me. In one respect I'll thy assistant be, for this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
Oh, let us hence! I stand on sudden haste.
Wisely and slow they stumble that run fast.
Scene 4. Enter Benvolio and Mercutio.
Where the devil should this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight?
Not to his father's. I spoke with his man.
Why, that same pale, hard-hearted wench that Rosaline torments him so that he will sure run mad.
The kinsman to old Capulet hath sent a letter to his father's house.
A challenge on my life.
Romeo will answer it.
Any man that can write may answer a letter.
Okay. He will answer the letter's master, how he dares, being dared.
Alas, poor Romeo is already dead, stabbed with a white wench's black eye, run through the ear with a love song, the very pin of his heart cleft with the blind bow-boy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt?
Why? What is Tybalt?
More than the Prince of Cats. Oh, he's the courageous captain of compliments. He fights as you sing prick songs, keeps time, distance, and proportion. He rests his minim rests, 1, 2, and the third in your bosom. The very butcher of a silk button, a duelist, a gentleman of the very first house, of the first and second cause. Oh, the immortal pesado, the punto reverso, the height! The pox of such antic lisping, affecting phantasms, these new tuners of accent. By Jesu, a very good blade, a very tall man, a very good whore. Why, is this not a lamentable thing, grandsire, that we should be thus afflicted with these strange flies, these fashion mongers, these, pardon me, who stand so much on the new form that they cannot sit with ease on the old bench? Oh, their bones, their bones.
Enter Romeo.
Here comes Romeo. Here comes Romeo.
Oh, without his roe, like a dried herring. Oh, flesh, flesh, thou art fishified. Now is he for the numbers of Petrarch flowed in. Laura to his lady is a kitchen wench. Mary, she had a better love to berhyme her. Dido, a dowdy. Cleopatra, a gypsy. Helen and Hero, Hildings and harlots. Thisbe, a gray eye or so, but not to the purpose. Senor Romeo, bonjour. There's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive?
Pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy.
That's as much to say as such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hams.
Meaning to curtsy.
Thou hast most kindly hit it.
A most courteous exposition.
Nay, I'm the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for flower.
Right.
Why then, my pump is well flowered.
Sure would. Follow me this jest now, till thou hast worn out thy pump, that when the single soul of it is worn, the jest may remain, after the wearing solely singular.
Oh, single-souled jest, solely singular for the singleness.
Come between us, good Benvolio, my wits faints.
Switch and spurs, or I'll cry a match.
Nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done, for thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am sure I have in my whole 5. Was I with you there for the goose?
Thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast not there for the goose.
I'll bite thee by thy ear for that jest.
Nay, good goose, bite not.
Thy wit is a very bitter sweeting. It is a most sharp sauce.
And it is not, then, well served into a sweet goose.
Oh, there's a wit of Cheveril that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad.
I stretch it out for that word broad, which added to the goose proves thee far and wide a broad goose.
Is this not better than the groaning for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo, now art thou what thou art, by art as well as by nature. For this driveling love is like a great natural that runs loving up and down to hide his bubble in a hole.
Stop there. Stop there.
Thou desirest me to stop in my tail against the hair?
Thou wouldst have made thy tail large.
Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was come to the whole depth of my tale and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer.
Enter the nurse and her man, Peter.
Here's a goodly gear, a sail, a sail.
Two, a shirt and a smock.
Peter.
Anon.
My fan, Peter.
Good, Peter, to hide her face, for her fan's the fairer face.
God you good morrow, gentlemen.
God you good e'en, fair gentlewoman.
Is it good e'en?
Oh, 'tis no less. I tell you, for the bawdy hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
Out upon you. What a man are you?
One gentlewoman that God hath made himself to mar.
By my troth, it is well said. For himself to mar, quoth he. Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo?
I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of a worse.
You say well.
Yea, is the worst well? Very well took, faith. Wisely.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you.
She will indict him to some supper.
Aboard! So ho!
What hast thou found?
No hair, sir, unless a hair, sir, in a Lenten pie that is something stale and hoar ere it be spent. No hoar hair is a very good meat in Lent, but a hair that is hoar is too much for a score when it whores ere it be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? Will to dinner thither?
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady. Farewell, lady.
I pray you, sir. What saucy merchant was this that was so full of his ropery?
A gentleman, nurse, that loves to hear himself talk and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month.
Does he speak anything against me? I'll take him down. And he were lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks. And if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave, I am none of his flirt gills. I am none of his skeins mates. And thou must stand there too and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure?
I saw no man use you at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon should quickly have been out. I warrant you, I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see occasion in a good quarrel, and the law on my side.
Now, afore God, I am so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave! Pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bid me to inquire you out. What she bid me say, I will keep to myself, but first let me tell you, if you should leave her into a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior, as they say, for the gentlewoman is young, and therefore if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress. I protest unto thee.
Good heart. And in faith I will tell her as much. Lord, she will be a joyful woman.
What will thou tell her? Thou dost not mark me.
I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which is, I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer.
Bid her devise some means to come to Shrift this afternoon, and there she shall, at Friar Lawrence's cell, be shrived and married. Here is for thy pains.
Oh, no.
He offers her money.
No, truly, sir, not a penny.
Oh, too, I say you shall.
This afternoon, sir? Well, she shall be there.
And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour, my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high topgallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell. Be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell. Commend me to thy mistress.
Now, God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir.
What sayst thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man secret? Didst you ne'er hear say, two may keep counsel, putting one away?
Warrant thee, my man is as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady. Lord, when 'twas a little prating thing. Oh, there is a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay a knife aboard, but she, good soul, had as lief see a toad, a very toad, as see him. I anger her sometimes and tell her that Paris is the properer man, but I'll warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter?
Aye, nurse. What of that? Both with an R.
Ah, mocker, that's the dog's name. R is for the... No, I know, it begins with some other letter, and she has the prettiest sententious of it, of you and Rosemary, that it would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times. Peter.
Anon.
Before, and a pace.
They exit. Scene 5. Enter Juliet.
The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. In half an hour she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. That's not so. Oh, she is lame. Love's herald should be thoughts, which 10 times faster glides than the sun's beams, driving back shadows over lowering hills. Therefore do nimble-pinioned doves draw love, and therefore hath wind swift Cupid wings. Now is the sun upon the highmost hill of this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours, yet she is not come. Had she affections and warm youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball, and my words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. But old folks, many fain as they were dead, unwieldy, slow, heavy, pale as lead. Oh, God, she comes. Oh, honey nurse, what news? Hast thou met with him? Send thy man away.
Peter, stay at the gate.
Now, good sweet nurse. Oh, Lord, why look'st thou sad? Though news be sad, yet tell them merrily. If good, thou shamest the music of sweet news by playing it to me with so sour a face.
I am aweary, give me leave a while. Hi, how my bones ache. What a jaunt have I! Woo!
Would I hadst, I would thou hadst my bones, and I thy news. Nay, come, I pray thee, speak, good nurse, speak.
Sue, what haste? Can you not stay a while? Do you not see that I am out of breath?
How art thou out of breath when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath? The excuse that thou dost make in this delay is longer than the tale thou dost excuse. Is thy news good or bad? Answer to that. Say either, and I'll stay the circumstance. Let me be satisfied. Is't good or bad?
Well, you have made a simple choice. You know not how to choose a man. Romeo? No, not he. Though his face be better than any man's, yet his leg excels all men's. And for a hand and a foot and a body, though they not be talked on yet, they are all past compare. He is not the flower of courtesy, but I'll warrant him as gentle as a lamb. Go thy ways, wench, serve God. What, have you dined at home?
No, but all this I did know before. What says he of our marriage? What of that?
Lord, how my head aches. What a head have I. It beats as though it would fall in 20 pieces. Oh, my back. Oh, the other side. Oh, my back. Shrew your heart for sending me about to catch my death with jaunting up and down.
Faith, I am sorry that thou art not well. Sweet nurse, tell me, what says my love?
Your love says, like an honest gentleman, and a courteous, and a kind, and a handsome, and I warrant a virtuous. Where's your mother?
Where is my mother? Why, she is within. Where should she be? How oddly thou repliest. Your love says, like an honest gentleman, where is your mother?
Oh, God, lady, dear, are you so hot? Mary, come up. I trow, is this the poultice for my aching bones? Henceforth, do your messages yourself.
Oh, here's such a coil come. What says Romeo?
Have you got leave to go to shrift today?
I have.
Then hie you hence to Friar Lawrence's cell. There stays a husband to make you a wife. Now comes the wanton blood in your cheeks. There'll be scarlet straight at any news. Hie you to church. I must another way to fetch a ladder by the which your love must climb a bird's nest soon when it is dark. I am the drudge and toil in your delight, but you shall bear the burden soon at night. Ooh, go! I'll to dinner. Hie you to the cell.
Hie to high fortune, honest nurse. Farewell.
They exit. Scene 6. Enter Friar Lawrence and Romeo.
Oh, smile the heavens upon us with this holy act that after hours with sorrow chide us not.
Amen. Amen. But come what sorrow can, it cannot countervail the exchange of joy that one short minute gives me in her sight. Do thou but close our hands with holy words, then love-devouring death, do what he dare. It is enough I may but call her mine.
These violent delights have violent ends and in their triumph die, like fire and powder, which as they consume, the sweetest honey is loathsome in his own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately, long love doth so. Too swift arrives as too tardy as too slow.
Enter Juliet.
Here comes the lady. Oh, so light of foot will never wear out the everlasting flint. A lover may bestride the gossamers that idles in the wanton summer air and yet not fall. So light is vanity.
Good even to my ghostly confessor.
Romeo shall thank thee, daughter, for us both.
As much to him, else is his thanks too much.
Juliet, if the measure of thy joy be heaped like mine, and that thy skill be more to blaze in it than sweeten with thy breath this neighbor air, and let rich music's tongue unfold the imagined happiness that both receive in either by this dear encounter.
Conceit, more rich in matter than in words, brags of his substance, not of ornament. They are but beggars that can count their worth, but my true love is grown to such excess I cannot sum up some of half my wealth.
Come with me, and we will make short work. For by your leaves, you shall not stay alone till Holy Church incorporates two in one.
They exit. End of Act 2.
Sure.
Applause. Wild applause. Yes. Can we get everybody back? Wild applause. And the costume changes. Yay. Absolutely. So that's fantastic. I don't know about you all, but God, that is really good. And amazing how Shakespeare crafts that to sweep us along in that especially that balcony scene, so that I don't know about you, but I buy it every time when she says, "Let's get married," and I completely lose in a certain way that they met 20 minutes ago, you know. But it's also marvelous to be swept up in it and reminded of it at the same time. It's the oddest way in which he plays with time and our hearts and minds at that moment. I just love it. But anyway, audience out there, what we did last time, for those of you who are here, I just wanted to open up to our company and you in the audience for any observations, comments, and or questions. Were there moments and points where you struggled, or you thought, I wonder how this would play, or what's going on, or just any thoughts or comments? How about you all? Anything as actors that you noticed that surprised you, say, in the doing of it, that was different from your reading of it? Duane, you're shaking your head. And I was actually going to wonder about that, you particularly, that marvelous scene between you and Benvolio, full of, as Sara said, silly similes, and what was that like? And in the sort of playing with Benvolio, did you start to find, it felt to me like you did, but I wonder what you would say about starting to find what he's up to there.
I think it's great fun, and you marvel at Shakespeare's craft and how fantastic all these things roll out, and it's just wonderful. Like you said, you buy the whole thing of her falling immediately in love, them falling immediately in love, and come what may, no consequences are thought of, and that's a young person's blessing and curse, I guess. But yeah, it's just amazing how beautiful the language is, and I just marvel at it every single time. I hear it.
And where I was going to is the marvelous contrast of having watched that scene of those two speaking so God, it's such a cliche to say anything, but so truly deeply and immediately about their feelings, which we believe are so deep and true, and the language of it is so beautiful. But then the kind of wonderful parallel and contrast, that's what I was getting at with you and Benvolio, that scene.
Yeah.
Using language, playing with imagery in our minds in similar ways, but with a very different effect, and really making that stark contrast of this almost, crude and fun-loving with, in contrast with that beautiful, deep romance of that scene that we saw in parallel to it.
It is crude, but also clever. Very
exactly.
And it's not just dick jokes and there's a lot more to it. But it is basically.
Yeah. But clever and wit and the power of the mind and the language that again gets so physical and activated. And you're speaking of it. I felt like I could see you and Christian in the action of it, in what the words are making you do. It's really great. Similarly with Friar Lawrence and the nurse too. The language kind of forces this physical manifestation. Really great. What else? I'll stop. Anybody else have observations, comments, thoughts, questions?
I think there are some questions in the chat that people wrote down.
Okay, great. Why don't, I don't know if, Katie, are you following the chat more closely than anybody?
I am. There was one really interesting question from Beth.
Great.
She was wondering, at the time that this play was originally produced with Shakespeare, would the audience have known they were walking into a tragedy when they saw this play? And that's such a good question because there's so much comedy in these first couple of acts.
Yeah, I'm sure Sarah can say a bunch, but I'll just say a couple of things. One of the things about this play is it had everything about it that was in a form that Shakespeare's audience would have anticipated and expected in the theater of a romance. In the theater, at least, if you had two lovers on stage at this point in the English Renaissance, it was to have two lovers fall in love and get married in the end. That was the form and the expectation. That wasn't necessarily true in poetry and in, kind of what we'll call fiction, but on the stage it was. So Shakespeare really broke a form in turning this love story, which had existed as a tragic love story, into a tragedy. But for the form of theater, for something that would have been expected for an audience with two lovers to have ended up well, to end up in tragedy was a real shocking experience for an audience. But Shakespeare covered you, took care of the audience in a wonderful way with that prologue, with the chorus. He tells us from the beginning that this is not going to end well, they're going to die. In part because everybody in Shakespeare's audience knew the story of the two fated lovers, that there were enough of those stories in various myths and various kind of common stories that the audience would have known it. But that the audience, had this kind of double thing going on, which we do a little bit too. We love nothing more than a rom-com, and we expect and know how the form is going to go. No matter what, we know there are going to be trials and tribulations throughout, but we know where it's going to go. And Shakespeare's audience had that same expectation of an energy of this, but they were at the same time being told that it was going to end badly, that they were going to die. It's one of the things, again, just talking about Shakespeare's craft, that I always love. I kind of use this in my mind all the time, that this is the power of theater. This is the power of dramatic action, writing well and crafting well, is that we know the whole audience is told directly they're going to die. And we spend the whole of the play hoping that they're going to live and get married. He is he is just teasing us the whole way. And it's in part the comedy that does it. It's also the sort of depth and the truth of the love of it that keeps us hoping that tonight's going to be different. Even though we're told they're going to die, it's going to be different tonight. Sarah, you're chomping.
I just think that there's something about like exactly the point you're making, John, like about the sort of simultaneous like inevitability and like vital hope. Like if anyone knows the production of Hadestown, the newish musical about the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, which is like another epic failed love story, that sort of what that entire riff around the story is based on. It's a kind of like, it comes to a sort of meta theatrical place at the end where what that particular play, Hadestown, is meditating on is our kind of like human commitment to this idea of maybe it will be different tonight, and like a sort of replaying of a cycle of like, you know, let's tell the story again and again and again. And like, we know that Orpheus will always look back, and we know that the lovers will always die. And yet sort of with the telling of it, what's kind of, you know, we've lost them, but what's been like added to the universe somehow through the telling.
That's beautiful. And in an interesting way, it's just striking me. It's not to do this. I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to do this thing that I think we're all doing all the time, is to hear what Sarah's saying, what I was bumbling to say too, in a way, sort of through the lens of what we are living right now. It's like we are, it's one of the greatest things about us as humans is we will always, even in the worst of whatever, we will struggle to find our optimism to see the good outcome. And it won't always be true. And in fact, in the big picture, it will never be true in a certain way because we're all going to die. But we do have this within us, this ability constantly to hold those two truths at the same time of sort of mortality and immortality all at the same time. And it's what fuels our sense of hope and optimism and ability to keep moving forward. So great.
I have a question from Carol to Sarah. Sarah, a few weeks back, you said that you would approach the play by asking the question of whether love could be built on hate. After doing this through Zoom, would you change that question in any way?
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, that was in so a few weeks ago, I did a workshop about adapting and directing Shakespeare, and I was kind of talking about unearthing the central question at the heart of a play, like, and used Romeo and Juliet as an example. And the sort of quick phrasing of the central question of Romeo and Juliet that I picked was, I think it was something like, can love change a world of hate? Or can love make a difference in a world predicated on hate? I mean, yeah, doing this, I don't know that I would. I think I might. I mean, I would definitely keep like rethinking the question, and I think like making it more sort of specific and like just looking for like the most sort of personal statement of it. But I think being a part of this makes me, well, I guess here's what the thing, it doesn't necessarily make me want to change the question, which I do think is, for me at least, is a pretty, it works pretty well as a statement of what this play is sort of driving towards. But it does actually make me more optimistic. Like being a part of it from the inside makes me more optimistic. I think that's actually true a lot. I feel like directors, a danger that you can run sometimes is becoming very intellectual and a little bit cold, and kind of getting outside of the show and having a sort of idea about it and going, well, I have something to say with this show and I'm going to use the show to say a thing. And like getting in and speaking the language and being the characters really kind of takes that sort of danger of condescension or distance away from you. There's a really, I don't know if anyone has seen the show Slings and Arrows. If not, go watch it now. It is a brilliant Canadian TV series about a Shakespeare company. And there's a very sort of like artsy, experimental, like distanced, condescending director who's working on Romeo and Juliet at one point and is doing a very like ridiculous, like over conceptualized version of it, and then sort of has a revelation that like, no, it can't be like this. I have a soul. It has to be human, and like changes the whole concept. And I think that's sort of, you know, that's what you get from being inside it. Like when you're saying these words, there's no way you'd have to be you'd have to, be a potato not to like believe that there's something really profound and incredible happening in this thing that, like, again, you know, could be looked at from a sort of cynical distance and put in a kind of box, whether that box is, the hate will win in the end, or whether that box is, oh, well, they're just kids. You know, it's like being inside it doesn't allow you to put it in a box like that. So I feel like, being a part of it makes me more interested in a production that is hopeful in some way, even in the face of the play's inevitabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just going to call out Natasha's comment, which I quite liked, because I think this too. She says, Mercutio has always been my favorite. His disdain for the romance and passion feels so important to foil Romeo, which I think too, and I love that you say passion, because I think the thing about this kind of guy is that he is suspicious of what is the depth of feeling in Romeo. He causes us too to see a sort of suspicion in this feeling that he has for Romeo, but it's not that Mercutio is himself without passion. He is full of passion, and makes us just question the truth of it, and the full complexity of it, which is a really a genius part, insight of Shakespeare's. Yeah. I'm wondering, Brian, you're out there, and you said, and yet at this point we hope it will work out. I'm wondering if what you mean is by the time we get to Act 2 here, we are still stuck in that, hoping that this is going to work out. It seems like it will. The plan's in place. I mean, but I love, in terms of that even, I'm just wondering about looking through that particular lens of inevitability and working out and time. The wonderful thing that the nurse does with sort of pulling apart that time to get to the inevitable. She won't just let Juliet know immediately that, yes, here's what you're to do. She sort of distends time for her, and it's almost like she's doing that with us too. It's like, I know it was making you crazy, Sarah. It was, yeah. But I think that just thinking that may be just another way in which Shakespeare is working on us to do that as well, to sort of pull apart the inevitable so that we can kind of keep us on the same, keep us on that same point that she's keeping Juliet on there. Great.
I just want to say really quick that I rewatched Shakespeare in Love recently, which again, I don't know if anyone out there, loves it as much as I do, but I think it really holds up. If you haven't seen it, I still recommend Shakespeare in Love. And it's like, I know that's it's a construct, it's a really clever idea, but like the whole sort of, idea that Stoppard and the other writers in that movie are writing around is the sort of like really embracing the idea of like of first time and of like discovering the story as you go along. And like there's a really beautiful point in that movie where he says, the character of Shakespeare says, it is not a comedy I'm writing now. And like the idea that a writer would sort of, have been writing in a certain form and then realize, oh, like, and turn the corner. I just, it's like probably just fictional, but I like it. It brings me joy.
Yeah. Well, it feels like a true understanding of something about the place that Stoppard and those writers is knowing about what Shakespeare's up to. Yeah. Good. Anybody else have questions? I'm looking out to the group out in the audience, but also to our fellow company members here. Christian, you raised your hand. You have a question or comment? Yeah.
Just based on a lot of folks' comments, and a lot of you have probably heard this before, but one of the first things that I was told way back in high school theater was the most important thing about tragedy, especially with this look at Macbeth as well, most tragedies is that by act 2, act 3, you need to be at the highest high, and you have to see the highest high happen for the lowest low at the end to really punch. So Shakespeare is brilliant at acts 1, acts 2, acts 3 are funny. There is just, it could almost be raucous laughter almost throughout, just from the audience and as a cast, so that when it gets to the thud of they're dead, is the thud is palpable and hits you right in the gut. And it's important as a cast and a director that I was always taught was you can't look at the end before you look at the beginning of it. We know how it ends, but we can't let that inform what's happening now.
That's right. That's right.
No idea as the characters.
That's right. Yeah.
Have to live in that, or else when the rug gets pulled, it's like, well, I'm not going to completely fall because I saw it coming. So you have to let the rug be pulled for it to really punch you.
Yeah, that's a good point about the sort of performance of this, and the acting of the actions. That even though the audience may know where this is going, that for each action to proceed from the action that preceded it, you must not be ahead of that action in any way when you're performing it, right? So even though we in the audience know where it's going, you don't get there till you get there. But it's an interesting point that you make too, just about that sort of the arcs that he writes in the plays. This one's interesting because, it's building for a good long while, and that we go pretty far to the end before we really hit and the denouement is pretty quick.
Oh no, John froze.
There's this.
We lost.
We
lost you for a second.
My back.
He's back.
My back. Okay. So I just underlining what Christian said about that arc of action. One of the things that people say, and I've noticed myself, and maybe Sarah, you too, but it's almost true of every single one of the plays, that Act 3, Scene 2 is the real midpoint of pretty much every play. You can, Shakespeare didn't intend for the plays to get broken down in the way that we do, but we now have this rhythm of storytelling in the theater and action and plot in the theater that has this two-act structure. And fortunately, it works for Shakespeare that in most cases, you can break the middle of the play at Act 3, Scene 2, and you will have done just what Christian said, is sort of built the drama up to a certain pitch that the audience, and we can let the audience go for an intermission.
So close.
So close.
John, you froze on us again.
How am I back?
Oh, now you're back.
No.
Now you're back.
Sarah, just pick up what I'm saying and make it make sense, would you?
No, you're right. The Act 3, Scene 2. Yeah. I mean, is it so? I mean, spoiler alert, everybody. Sorry. I mean, is Act 3, Scene 2 where Mercutio dies in this play?
I think that's right.
Yeah, because it's like, that's the real kicker, right? It's like this play could just be a comedy until Mercutio dies. And like, I mean, I think that's one of the fun things about playing it as an actor. Like, I mean, if I were working with a cast of actors, I would, like, that would be part of my direction. I would say, like, until Mercutio dies, like, we should play this as much like a comedy as possible, like with as much joy, as much life, as much, vitality, like everything. And it's interesting too, right? Because it's like his death, I mean, it's a gaping hole. Like it's not, it's this sort of life force that's taken out of the world, right? Like I think he's sort of a character that's in a category like Falstaff. Like he's a little weird and a little wild and a little like too big for the play he's inside, actually. And like and we sort of don't imagine that he's killable. And like, when he disappears, it's like, oh the shit's hit the fan. Like the play can't recover from it.
People are gasping and pretending that they didn't know that people actually die in this play. But guess what, everybody? People die.
Guess what? Even if you didn't know that, and I'm sorry if you didn't, it's just imagine it like the prologue, right? Like keep hoping they'll stay alive. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
All right. Good. Anybody else of company have questions or comments or thoughts? Or one last putting it out there to our audience. Anything you want to ask of us or say? The rhythm of these nights is working out very nicely. We're coming up to just about the 90 minutes that I thought would be good for us all to be able to withstand on Zoom. Beth, I'm with you. I truly love this group. Somebody else said earlier, I think Patty, that we have our cast here, which is exactly what I thought midway through that act. It's like, come on, let's build that set, write those light cues. Sarah's got all the costumes. We're fine. Let's just go. So, all right, good. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna say thank you to all you wonderful actors.
Thank you.
Study up for next week. We'll be back for Act 3. Hope to see you all virtually in the audience as well. Have a great week, everybody. Take good care of yourself and stay safe. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.